avid readers, book nerds, or casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Roundtable. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and this is our read-along of The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch.
All right, everybody. Welcome to, what are we on, week 7?
7.
Of the read-along, The Republic of Thieves, which is awesome. Talking about Chapter 8, the 5-year game, Infinite Variation, and the interlude, Happenings in Bedchambers. Do things happen indeed?
Oh boy.
But before we get to that, we are almost done with this book, with this read-along. So it's time for us to start preparing for the next read-along. And I have the privilege of picking our selection for this next one. So I actually have like a little thing about these books because I did a presentation for one of my classes on the 3 that I picked.
Ooh.
I picked 3 books from this presentation that I did, so I've got like little write-ups for them that I wanted to share, if that'd be cool.
Okay.
So our 3 books. First we've got A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. It has a gorgeous cover, you guys.
It does. I'm looking at it right now.
I know, which you'll see on the video as well. And it has one of the best first paragraphs I've read in a long time, so can I just share that with you really quick? I know I'm making this a big thing, but I'm excited. Okay, so chapter 1. They say you can spot a true Shennong-shi by their hands, palms colored by the stain of the earth, fingertips scarred from thorns, a permanent crust of soil and blood darkening the crescents of their nails. I used to look at my hands with pride. Now all I can think is, these are the hands that buried my mother. Okay. I know. So our POV character is Ning, and her whole world revolves around the art of tea making, including her mother's death, her sister's illness, in a competition that may get Ning close enough to the princess who can save her sister's life. So we've got some like court politics happening here. I should also say that all 3 of these are debut novels for these authors, so it's their first books, which is pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Lots of politics in that one, obviously, going to court. Whatever. Speaking of politics, we also have A Song of Race and Ruin, which I think I've had on a list before, but I am putting it back on the list, by Roseanne A. Brown. Another gorgeous cover. This is the first book in a duology inspired by West African folklore. A grieving Karina and a desperate Malik are secretly determined to kill one another in order to save the people they love most. Will Karina's plan to use necromancy to resurrect her mother work? And can Malik save his kidnapped sister from the dangerous spirit that took her? So, that's A Song of Race and Ruin. I know.
That sounds fascinating and spooky.
Just you wait. My last option is A Lot So by Darcy Little Badger of the Lipan Apache tribe of Texas. This book also features some necromancy, unlike the other 2 suggestions. A Lot So is set in a world very much like the one we know. However, there are very strong indigenous influences and a fantasy element. So A Lot So, or Ellie for short, can use the paranormal gift of raising animal spirits from the dead that she inherited from her Lipan Apache ancestor's 6th great-grandmother to solve her cousin's murder. Can Ellie successfully save her ancestral land and community from an ancient curse while bringing justice to her cousin? So, those are our 3 choices.
Wow.
I know. So
fancy.
You have to pick one. And you can pick one if you're a member of our Patreon. And you have voting rights there. So if you want to vote for one of those 3, hop over to our Patreon. Otherwise, you just got to wait and see what our patrons vote for.
Yep.
So.
Sounds good. So head on over. Become a patron. Vote.
Do it. Okay.
I'm excited.
Thanks. Thanks for letting me do like kind of a library spiel.
Yeah.
For them. I'm practicing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So those are the book options. Very cool. So I guess now we can move on to this week's read-along discussion.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So
this was a good chapter.
8 was very good.
The interlude was also very good.
It was all very, very good.
I know. I was like, why wasn't the whole book like this? Like,
I know what you mean.
But I
think
it's because it delivered on things that we've been building to. It would not have been as good if we hadn't been building to them for so long.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm so sad that like the book's almost over. And it's like we just had all this stuff happening, and it's like, bro, we've only got like an eighth of this book left or something,
Mm-hmm.
like or like a sixth or maybe. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I don't want it to be over.
I know.
Ugh, I love these characters so much.
I know. Me too.
But anyway, so they make it back. They're in town.
Yeah, that was funny. And their first stop, all yucky and horseified. No, they just smell like horse.
Yes.
And like they haven't bathed for a week, which is
This
accurate.
isn't an anamorph situation. They
No,
just
no, no, no. The point is that they stink, and their first stop is to Sabbatha.
Yeah.
Um,
Which was a
and
bold move. I didn't expect them to go right back to like confront her about what she did right away. I thought that they would like subtly reintroduce themselves back into affairs, you know.
yeah, no,
There's
nothing
nothing
about it
subtle.
was subtle.
No. There's nothing subtle about grabbing a man's fruits through his breeches and forcing him to
I wasn't even going to bring that part up, but yes,
and then forcing him to take me to your leader or you will never have children. Like,
right, right,
oh,
yeah, it was pretty epic. And that like started our like Locke and Sabbatha going on dates throughout this chapter.
interestingly enough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was so cute and so fun.
So cute. Like if this were a TV show, this would
Oh, yeah,
be
I
like
could-
such fun episodes coming out.
I can picture like the exact sequence of like how the TV show would have gone perfectly in my head. Like
Agreed.
it would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like I feel like this kind of read like Indiana Jones almost. Like I feel like we've stepped into that kind of like shenanigans with high stakes and like
Yeah.
there's a girl that we're finally like able to like entertain the thought of pursuing.
And it's interesting because they're on opposite sides of the heist and they know they're on opposite sides of the heist, but they're still going on dates anyway because they're like separating their personal lives from their work lives. And that is
Yeah.
such a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah,
I
they
just I
specifically
loved
agree to like a truce between the three of them. Jean isn't part of this like conversation, but Locke is like, we got to have some ground rules here because, like,
yeah.
this isn't really fair.
We can't mess with each other directly. Like
Right.
no shipping each other off out of the country.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So highly entertaining chapter.
Yes, we did get confirmation / allegedly that Patience helped keep the ship close to shore so that they could actually
Yeah, I knew it. I had
get
such
back.
I was
Yeah.
like, that weather was too convenient. That was a Bonds Magi thing. Like, there's
Yeah,
no way.
no, that was a good call on your part. I totally didn't pick that up on that, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which annoyed Locke because he was like, you said the one rule was that you couldn't interfere and you're interfering. And she was like, well,
If I
you
hadn't,
didn't
where would
trust
you be?
me. You didn't trust me about that anyway, so are you surprised?
Right.
He's like, I guess not.
Yeah. But speaking of patience,
She has
So-
quite the timing skill.
yeah. I mean, Locke was gonna make dinner for Sabbatha, but they were totally just gonna make out instead.
I mean, I think he was planning to make dinner, but
Right. But when is
right, when is the question?
at what point in the date? But anyway, like they're like canoodling on the countertop basically, and then Patience just appears.
Canoodling on the countertop.
Yeah.
It's accurate.
Yeah. I had to think of a good alliteration for that one.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, and then the chapter ends. Like it ends on quite the cliffhanger. I was a little annoyed.
Yeah, so what do you think Patience is going to say? Because she's all, I have to tell you, well, I was going to keep my mouth shut, but now you guys have made me come here and now I have to tell you about who Locke is and where he comes from and like what he really is. And so
I'm terrified she's gonna tell us that he's like Sabbath's brother or something.
Oh no.
I don't think that's what's gonna happen, but
That's the reason she has to interfere. Well, she's a little late because we
she
know
is.
based on the interlude that there has already been some copulation.
I mean, we already knew that.
We did,
But yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe he's. I really have no idea. Like,
I
what
think.
about his identity would be important to Sabbatha too?
See, I'm like, is this a? I'm still holding out for a. You're a wizard, Harry. Like, um, she's gonna be like, hey, actually, you have magical powers. That's why you're so good at all the things you do because you're like subtly influencing the outcome with magic.
You're like a
Um,
Sophie Hatmaker from House Moving Castle situation.
yeah, yeah, something like that.
I don't think that. Like, cause what? Like, this is not the first time they've gotten together. So what about
Yeah,
this time makes it other
that's
than
true.
Patience wasn't there before? But like,
Well,
she
they
knows
also.
that they've been together.
I also wonder if Patience is just like totally lying. Is she like she's gonna lie about something? Like she's just showing up to say some kind of like super dramatic shock and awe thing that's gonna cause drama so that they separate and stop with the dates when they're supposed to be like fighting each other.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe she'll say something that will make him have to reveal his true name. But she
Mm.
already knows it, right?
No, well, here's the thing. Jean knows it,
Right.
and she knows Jean's true name, so I really don't think there's anything stopping her from knowing Locke's real name. Um, I honestly wouldn't.
Wasn't there a thing though where no, she didn't know Locks because he was smug about it.
Yeah. Or did she? You know, we don't know.
Right.
Like when Locke was sick, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, Patience knew Jean's real name. Maybe she had already done some creepy mind meld thing with Jean
Hmm.
before her apparent appearal. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she already knows it, to be honest. But I guess we'll see.
But then, what's the motivation here? Like, if the motivation is to learn his true name, like if she's going to say something about him, so that the only way he can refute it is by giving his name. Do you know what I mean? She
Yeah,
wouldn't have to do that if she already knows what it is.
maybe. Well, no, she definitely. It's not even about Sabbatha. She said it was about Locke. So
But they
what
both
he
needed to know.
what he really is. Maybe it's some weird Eldrin thing. Like maybe he's some like space baby. He's like,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
He's Superman. He crash landed in a spaceship and he ready for this. This is the new theory. You ready?
Okay. Okay. I'm
I
ready.
hope you're ready,
Hit me with it.
listeners. Locke is an alien from another planet, kind of like Superman, and he crash landed in the middle of the wherever the place is that he was from in Comore. What was it called? Like
I
Catchfire or
don't remember.
something.
Yeah. Something like
And
that. Well, was it named that before he lit it on fire or after?
yeah, that's a good point. But the whole thing was like
Well,
there
maybe
was
he
a
lit it on fire because he was a fire elemental,
oh gosh.
a fragment of a star.
No, he since he's an alien, he's got a lot of like foreign diseases and stuff, right? So he caused the plague that like wiped out that whole area, and he was the only survivor because he was immune because he has the antibodies because he's from the alien planet where the disease is from. So like
Oh.
that's the theory. Locke's an alien. You heard it here
Okay.
first.
Okay.
Locke's an alien, and that's why there was a disease thing, and why he is the only survivor, and why he doesn't really remember anything from before then.
I bet if I look at the first part.
No, don't look ahead. Are you going to look at like the first paragraph of the next chapter?
I was.
You turd.
But nothing like immediately jumped out. So
No, you're a wizard, Harry. Okay.
no,
Well,
no, you're an alien, Locke.
or you're one of the Eldrin. Wow.
Right.
Well, we'll see.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you said Eldrin, and that reminded me of Zelda, which reminded me because there are similarities here, right?
Okay.
Like there are some minor similarities, which was also reminding me that there's similarities between Zelda and Critical Role. Sorry, my brain is like a crazy rabbit trail sometime.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, which reminded me of the Zelda videos that I've seen on TikTok, which reminded me of a book talk video I saw
Oh my
where
goodness.
someone was like, if you liked this movie, you would like this book. And the movie was, if you like Treasure Planet, you'll like The Lies of Locke Lamora. Which I'm not disputing, but I feel like that's a jump from like a PG movie to an R-rated book.
Yeah.
Like, that's quite the jump. And she hadn't finished the book yet. So now I'm going to be like, oh, honey, the ending of that book is like
Oof.
a lot. So anyway,
That's a stretch.
I know. I wanted to talk about it last week and I forgot. So the Eldrin, Zelda, TikTok, book talk.
You know what would have been
Recommendation. Sorry.
What would have been really funny is if they had said, if you enjoyed Treasure Planet, you would like Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson.
That would be funny. But I guess I can see like it's kind of like swashbuckly and like kind of steampunky. Like I get the vibes are kind of similar, but the content of the Scott Lynch books are very adult.
Yeah, very mature theme.
Lest you forget, listener, that we are reading an adult fantasy.
Yeah.
Which, like, she was talking to adults. Like, if you like this in your childhood, here's an adult book. But, I was, like, shocked at the jump.
Yeah. That's a bit of a jump. Maybe more so the second book. Because the second book is even... I know, she hasn't even gotten that far yet, but the second book would make more sense because that one's the one where they're actually, like, kind of piratey, you know?
Right. Well, and she was saying how much she really liked Lies of Locke Lamora, which, like, totally agree. Like, it's so good. But the end of it is so vicious.
Yeah.
So that poor lady has got something else coming. Anyway, this is quite the tangent.
So, let's talk about the things that happen in bedchambers.
Oh, but we've skipped over so much that happened in the chapter.
Oh, like what? I mean, they went on a bunch of dates.
They dropped snakes into this was the part that was like Indiana Jones. He had snakes dropped into the hotel that she's staying at, and then she had them dropped into his carriage, which was like kind of attacking each other, but it was a pretty harmless prank altogether. So
they weren't poison. They weren't venomous.
They were specifically not venomous. We've also got the old lady spies.
That was funny. That Jean
so
couldn't
funny.
throw off the roof.
Yes, because they got rid of the other spies, and then Sabbatha replaced them with old ladies because she knew that Jean would not be able to do anything about it. But she was totally right. Mm-hmm. Which speaks to that whole conversation that she had with Locke about how much she resents Father Chains because he bred into them like a sense of like a good streak. Yeah. Like he made them weak because he made them compassionate about people.
Yeah.
Which is
gave
like
me
really
empathy.
Dark. Right. But like really dark. And Locke was like, but if he didn't do that, we wouldn't have each other. So which I appreciate that Locke was like, yeah, but like look at all the good stuff that could come out of that. And granted, she's been kicking it alone for 5 years and just like miserable. So okay. Oh, and Nikaros got caught buying drugs, and so he's a double agent now.
Which we knew. We knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Confirmed, though. It
Saw
happened.
It a mile away. They should have just replaced him the second they figured out.
Oh, gosh. Well, the second that his chapter started, I was like, oh, no.
Yep.
Not his chapter, but he had a section.
His section.
And I was like, oh, gosh. This dude's either toast or he's going to be blackmailed. So.
For sure.
Both would have been equally damaging for Jean and Locke's cause. Like, had he just been taken out or been corrupted, like, both not good. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Happenings in bedchambers. Where do you want to start?
Well, you were right, kind of, with the whole Sabbatha just coming out and saving Locke's butt.
Yes. Not the way I expected, though.
Yeah.
She couldn't beat up the benefactor, but she did convince him that they were just practicing for the play.
That was
Practicing their improv.
That was such a BS excuse. I cannot
It
believe he
was.
bought it.
Well, he's an idiot.
Yeah,
Like,
he's an
this whole
idiot.
chapter just basically solidified that he's an idiot. Okay, we also learned more about the red hair issue.
That made me so sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
I was listening to it in the car on my way to work, and it just
Ugh.
made me so sick to my stomach just listening to her talk about like what some people will do to redheads.
Yeah, so it's more than just like it draws attention to her and like it's a high price. There's like trigger warning for FGM, if you know what that is. And now we're going to talk about it.
I don't. Can you tell me what that means?
Well, we're going to talk about it. So
Okay.
she reveals that like if you have red hair, that even the thief maker like found this practice to be so vile and disgusting that he's the one who told her that she needed to color her hair and keep it covered.
Yeah.
Because there's a practice of female genitalia mutilation, which is FGM.
Okay.
And that's what happens to redheads, which is disgusting. And once she reveals that to Locke, he feels awful and like totally understands why she is so like weird about her hair. And yeah, it's totally legit.
I mean, it goes. I mean, trigger warning also for the R word, but like it's not just the FGM.
It's tied to each other, right? It starts with that.
And then while like immediately after this happens, you are like sexually assaulted by men because it's deemed as like good luck and it'll like cure your STDs and stuff. If you do this.
Yeah, it'll really cure STDs. It's not going to cause any.
So I mean, yeah.
Super disgusting. Like absolutely repugnant.
And you're assaulted until you die. Like it's
good luck if you're the one who was doing the deed when she dies.
And that was just like so disgusting. And I was like, Scott Lynch, are you okay? How did?
Yeah.
Oof. That was one of the more atrocious things that I have ever read in a book.
I mean, not this specifically, but FGM is a thing that happens.
I know, and like in places of the world, I understand that. Yeah, but that was such a oof. That was
it's bad.
It was a bad time, and I understand why Sabbatha is so like antsy about her hair color getting out now.
Yeah,
it seems much less like an overreaction now.
Right. No, for sure. Like, I feel bad for thinking she was overreacting. And it's only like a certain age group that's like, this is especially dangerous for her. So now she's of an age where it's not as dangerous for her, which is why her hair is red again. Part of the reason why. And so we got to balance that out with some levity, because in the same section of the chapter, Kahlo and Galdo get super sick from a thing called the ash bastard, which is like
that made me want to.
Which is also gross.
That made me want to puke too.
Funny.
This is a really gross interlude, everyone.
Just this first part.
Yeah.
But it's like the chew bucket.
Oh.
Mixed with beer, or mixed with wine, and then you have to drink it, and it's a form of hazing, and it's very gross.
That is. Okay, moving on. I can't handle it.
But it was funny.
I have this thing with spit. Like, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
We need to move on.
Okay, so Jean and Genora, who's the old lady seamstress.
Is she an old lady?
She's described as having silver hair. So I think she is an older lady. And she also claims, like she says something about, does it make you uncomfortable to be with an older and taller woman? And he was like, nah.
Because Jean is a gentleman.
He is. I mean, really.
Um,
What a good egg.
yeah. He and Kahlo and Galdo were like, "Oh, finally! I was getting worried about that guy."
Yeah. Their little like sections of this interlude were so interesting. I love them. I know that they're described as hounds in this chapter because they're just crazy, but
womanizers.
womanizers. But they're very like kind and caring about their friends.
For sure.
Um.
So backpedaling really quick to the Locke and Sabbatha thing. They end up like hashing out their stuff like right away.
Yes.
Which I was thankful for, because I know in the last section I was kind of griping about how like unnecessary this conflict seemed, since we know how it, like we already know the resolution of it, but they figure it out really quick. And
right, because Locke was also a gentleman once he found out what the deal was, and then he was like, I had no idea, I am so sorry.
Yeah,
like that's horrendous. So
but then Kahlo and Galdo are now kind of like, so now that Locke and Sabbatha have an understanding, they're in this predicament now where like they cannot get a moment alone together, because now Bulladazi is like constantly after Sabbatha and wanting to be with her, and they just can't get a moment alone. So Kahlo and Galdo are like scheming to get them some alone time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen until a little later, but because first there was some stuff with like the play, with how Locke kind of schemed with the benefactor to.
I mean, he did, but it wasn't. It was more like he was being forced to. Like, the benefactor Baldazzi guy, however you say his name, is very slimy. And so he's like talking to Locke about his part, and Locke just like admits like, yeah, I wish I had this other part, but it's fine. And he was like, I'll get you that part if you can get whatever Sabbatha's fake name is, Verena. To agree to come stay at my house sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And Locke was like, I don't want to do that. But like this guy didn't give him a choice.
Yeah.
Of course, Sabbatha is not taking the bait, but the guy does get Locke the part. So
now Locke gets the lovey-dovey smoochy part with Sabbatha. Ooh.
Yeah, in the play.
And Moncrane hates it.
Yeah.
He's so salty.
Because it was supposed to be someone else. Well, I think Moncrane hates it because the way that the benefactor like made him. Yeah. Like it was very public and like rude.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad.
Kahlo and Galdo get to do the chorus together, which is what they should have done from the beginning.
Yes. There's the chapter with the section with the old couple that like shows them how to do stage kissing. So that it's like, that was cute. So there's like a smuggler's box of sorts that the Sansa twins get Locke and Sabbatha into.
Yeah.
Which is great, except the dumb benefactor guy wasn't leaving Sabbatha alone, so she kind of drugged him.
Yeah.
Of course she disappeared so that he would leave her and like kind of forget about her. And then he has a scheme to get with Janora just to like tide him over, which is gross.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
He is pretty gross. But Janora, that lady don't play.
No. Nope.
So we had another cliffhanger, kind of.
You know how like your mom is always like, don't cut paper with my sewing scissors.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she never said don't stab anyone.
Yeah. But you know what? Good for her. That dude had it coming.
So, I mean, we have to mention too.
Not that I'm saying like bodily harm is like ideal, but like protect yourself if a dude is like coming at you.
Self-defense from sexual assault is
viable and valid.
Is encouraged.
In my opinion.
Yeah. So we do have to mention though. So Locke and Sabbatha did. They did the do.
They did.
Consummated their love. No, that's
Gross. You made it gross, man. It's awkward.
Yeah.
It doesn't go super well. They're also
They're
in
like-
like a little box.
They're 16. They're in this little
Yeah.
box with no airflow. They don't know what they're doing. And they knew enough, though, and they got it done.
Locke is so cute, though, because he's like, it wasn't what he was expecting. And then he's like, great, I'm never going to get to do that again. She's never going to
Yeah.
let me do that again.
She hated that. Game over.
And she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So basically, they're like, at this point, it's pretty much, I feel like this is the official moment of like, yes, we are a couple now.
Yeah.
We're on the same page and it's happening. And then this is when Kahlo and Galdo come in and they're like, guys, put your clothes on. Something happened. Which Locke was like, a serious Sansa is a terribly ill omen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they get into Janora's room, and Jean is there, like,
Comforting her.
trying to comfort her. She's, like, her clothes are ripped, and benefactor idiot has been stabbed. Her sewing scissors are in his chest still. But
Yeah.
he's still alive, so I guess we'll see what...
I think it was the right side of his chest, so like not his heart. We'll see how
Right.
long he lives.
Yeah.
I don't foresee him living, but
I don't foresee him having a lot of control over the play anymore,
no.
at the very least. I think that this will have soundly landed him on the outskirts. So, if not dead.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
He's gross.
See how they manage to pull off the play with the dead-ish benefactor.
Yeah.
Excited. So like that's kind of a cliff. Man, there's just so much cliffhanger happening right now.
I know.
I'm so just ready to read the next chapters.
Yeah.
So
Well, so the interesting thing is like seeing that kindness streak that Sabbatha was talking about and how it kind of like runs through both of these. Like we see the Sansa twins like really caring about Locke and Sabbatha.
yeah,
We see Jean and Locke like caring about what happens with the Sansa twins. Like when they, and Sabbatha, when they get super drunk and sick. It's just fascinating.
the road trip plan that Father Chains came up with is kind of it's coming together. You know,
It is, yeah, it is. Probably not exactly the way he thought it would, but
it's working out.
it's working out. It is.
Yeah,
So
cool. So what's
Yeah.
our assignment for next time?
yeah. So for next time, you're going to read chapters 9 and 10, and that includes any interludes.
Yep, read until you get to 11.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a healthy little chunk again. So
Good.
yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, fun times. I'm excited to read the next sections.
Ditto.
So, I guess until next time, happy reading.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.